Hi, Neil Gittleman here, Artistic Director and Conductor of your Dayton Philharmonic with Piano Bench Chat number 45. And that was a little bit of the beginning of the second movement of Ludwig van Beethoven's Symphony number 8, a piece that the Dayton Philharmonic and I will be playing this coming weekend at the Schuster Center for a live audience for the first time in 10 plus months. We'll also be playing, of course, for a live streaming audience at home, and the concert will also be available on demand a few days after the performance. We are so excited to be doing this piece, and I thought I might share with you a fun little story about that music from the second movement of perhaps Beethoven's most overlooked symphony. Now, as with all stories from classical music, they may or may not be true. This one may or may not be true, but it's a really fun one, and it kind of rings true, so even if it isn't true, I'm going to believe it. And the story has to do with the music that the woodwinds in the orchestra play almost non-stop for 4.5 minutes from the beginning of the piece to the end, and that is this. The story is that that is supposed to represent the sound of the metronome. Now, this is not what the metronome looked like in Beethoven's time. It was the old-fashioned kind that I have somewhere in the house, but I can't seem to find, with the inverted pendulum that swings back and forth. And the metronome was invented by a friend of Beethoven's named Johann Nepomuk Melzel, and Melzel gave Beethoven one of his first prototypes, and Beethoven just loved it. He thought it was the greatest thing in the world, and immediately went back to all of his previously written compositions and wrote in metronome numbers so everyone would know exactly what the right speed to play the piece was. That's why Beethoven liked the idea. No more. No, you're playing it too fast, you're playing it too slow. Gets more complicated. Now, we don't know whether Melzel's prototype that he gave to Beethoven was a little wonky, that it wasn't exactly precise in the way it marked the speeds, or we don't know if Beethoven didn't understand the way the slider worked and didn't know whether the tempo was supposed to be at the top of the slider, at the bottom of the slider. But there is something that often seems kind of off with Beethoven's written metronome markings. And, you know, it's not consistent. Sometimes they seem slow, sometimes they seem fast, sometimes they seem just right. So it may just be, you know, an accident. But anyway, that's the story behind that piece, and that's why you hear in the woodwinds, that's supposed to represent Beethoven's new toy ticking away there. Interestingly enough, Melzel also designed and crafted the various ear trumpets that Beethoven used to try and make up for his increasing deafness. So they were very close friends, and I think that's one reason why this movement of Beethoven's Eighth Symphony is so charming. If it wasn't about the metronome itself, it probably was about Melzel, Beethoven's buddy. And in between the first movement and the last movement of the symphony, which are these like high-powered, really intense, crazy, hell for leather sort of pieces, in the middle we have this beautiful little minuet and this miniature slow movement with the tribute to the metronome. I hope you'll have an opportunity to hear the Dayton Philharmonic play Beethoven's Eighth Symphony along with the absolutely wonderful Violin Concerto No. 2 by Florence Price. We'll be playing it live. You can join us live. There's still some tickets left in the Schuster Center, and the tickets are all spaced out throughout the auditorium, so you won't be seated close to anyone. It's designed for safety. We're safely arranged on the stage. If you can't or don't feel comfortable coming to the theater, you can still see the performance at home in a live stream, 8:30 Saturday night and home. And then if you want to wait, a few days later, it'll be available for on-demand streaming. So however you do it, please check out our concert, which is called Beethoven 8 and Florence Price, coming up. And it's the first live in performance in the theater concert by the Dayton Performing Arts Alliance. There's much more coming from the Philharmonic, from the opera, from the ballet. We're coming out of our shell slowly and safely, and we're very excited about it, and I hope you are too. See you next week for Piano Bench Chat number 46. It's really cute. I love that piece.